Okay, so how to remember the action in the hand. And one of the interesting things that I find, or a common thread amongst really good players, is that they tend to have really good recall with everything that went on while they were playing. My friend Brian, who's a good tournament player and plays second in an event this year at the World Series, he's got some crazy, like he'll just sit there and we'll be at a diner and he'll be like, oh, this guy, and he rattles off all this information. And why it's so important is because he's rattling off all this information like 2 weeks after it happened, which means he's really aware or cognizant of it while he's actually playing, right? So while he's actually playing, he's actually taking this information in, and it's really important. And there's a couple of ways. First, experience is really going to do it. The more you play and the more you go over hands, like the more you go over hand analysis and the more you critique your own play and critique your own hands, the more likely you are to remember it. Terminology really helps, so like understanding, under the gun +1, cut off, hijack, all these different names or terms make it easier for you to remember where people are at the table. But really what you want to do is come up with your own way. And there's this concept in psychology or in memory called episodic rehearsal, and it shows you that memories are you're more likely to remember something if you connect it to something you already know, right? So you're more likely to remember somebody's name, like I met somebody the other day named Carlos, right? And instead of saying like, I immediately linked him up with one of my closest friends growing up, Carlos, who was my neighbor. So I was like, oh, Carlos, like my neighbor. And then Carlos, boom. And I'm more likely to remember that if I just remember singularly Carlos. So it's interesting, you gotta take the information at the table and connect it in a way that makes sense to you. So you can make fun of people. You can look at players. Certain players might remind you of an actor or something. So you're like, oh, in your head, you're like, Danny DeVito is, always 3 bets, or Danny DeVito 3 bets way too light, or Danny DeVito, keeps check raising, or whatever it is, but you make it fun, right? You make little devices, like I call people by their shirts. So like this one guy I played with had WSOP gear all over him. So I was like, WSOP guy in my head. So WSOP guy really, really, really is terrible because A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. My way of doing it is a little unique, and I like it. Try this. I coach the players in my head while I'm playing them. That's the best way for me to remember what's going on, because I've been teaching classes here at School Cards for so long. So like most of the time when people are playing, I have to remember what's going on to help them. To be like, oh, listen, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this, or that didn't really make sense, and so on and so forth. And then I realized, why don't I just do this at a poker table, right? Because it's easy to exploit a player when when I'm trying to help them coach them. So I'll sit there and I'm like, oh man, you shouldn't do that. You should really narrow your range. You don't really have a skill. You're not really that skilled enough to play that great post-flop poker. So narrow your range a little bit and get in. And I'll say things like that to them, and I'll be like, all right, John needs help with that. And then when I play against them, it's so much easier to exploit them because I was coaching them. And it's very, very weird, but it helps. It really, really, really helps. And that's my device. That's the thing that works for me because I'm so used to doing it. So there might be different things that work for you. I remember when I was studying psychology and playing a lot of poker, I came up with different devices and things like that to remember. And there's certain things that work. But so really think on your own. But try the coaching thing. Try to sit there and coach the players. I think it'll work for everybody else, not just me. I'm not sure, but I think no matter who you are, I think it'll be easier if you coach the person. And it's just kind of don't actually coach them, right? Don't actually be like, hey guy, just keep your mouth shut, but in your head do it. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. Thanks for checking out the video. Any comments, any questions? If you have any ideas for videos, please put the comment below. And last but not least, I'm going to promote my Beyond Tells, beyondtells.com. It's the first behavioral-based training for poker players ever conducted. It's tons of videos on how to identify tells in players, and it's really going to, anybody who takes it, it will change your game, I promise you. It's something I've been working on so hard lately. It's the thing. I've created a lot of classes and a lot of different things in my life. I'm without a doubt more proud of this than anything else I've ever created, and that's saying a lot. So I'd really check out beyondtells.com.